now have more details on the Department of Justice's lawsuit against Maricopa County Sheriff's Department, run by the infamous Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Included in the lawsuit is a laundry list detailing rampant, violent, and degrading mistreatment of Latinos. First, there are allegations that Arpaio's office assaulted pregnant Latina women. With this example, this is from the Justice Department. An MCSO, Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, officers stopped a Latina woman, a citizen of the United States and 5 months pregnant at the time, as she pulled into her driveway. After she exited her car, the officer then insisted that she sit on the hood of the car. When she refused, the officer grabbed her arms, pulled them behind her back, and slammed her stomach first into the vehicle 3 times. He then dragged her to the patrol car and shoved her into the back seat. The woman was later given a ticket for failure to provide identification. Then there are allegations that Arpaio's office stalked Latina women, with this case highlighted. 2 MCSO officers followed a Latina woman, a citizen of the United States, for a quarter of a mile to her home. The officers did not turn on their emergency lights. When the woman attempted to enter her own home, the officers used force to take her to the ground, kneed her in the back, and handcuffed her. That woman was given a ticket for disorderly conduct, which was later dropped. There are allegations that Arpaio's office even forced Latina women to sleep in their own menstrual blood. Female Latina LEP prisoners have been denied basic sanitary items. In some instances, female Latina LEP prisoners have been forced to remain with sheets or pants soiled from menstruation because of MCSO's failure to ensure the detention officers provide language assistance in such circumstances. Plus, there are allegations that Arpaio's office engaged in widespread racial profiling, unlawful detention, constantly and routinely used racial slurs, and ignored rape claims against Latino women and children. This is some of the most horrific and racist behavior by an American sheriff that we could imagine. It's like something right out of the old South, when Southern sheriff's offices and the local Klan shared space and personnel. And guess what? It fits right in with the Republican Party's embrace of hatred and bigotry toward Hispanics, all designed to drive scared, bigoted white men to the polls. Joe Arpaio is a demigod in the Republican Party. They portray him as a dirty, hairy-like figure who's taking on one of America's toughest challenges, the influx of undocumented immigrants from Mexico. You just have to ignore for a moment that more Mexicans are now leaving the United States than entering our nation, or the fact that you can track most of the so-called illegal immigration problem back to Ronald Reagan, stopping the enforcement of criminal sanctions against employers who hire non-citizens who are not here legally. Once Reagan's policy took hold, businesses big and small started hiring that new source of cheap, exploitable labor, and the trickle of immigrants to this country became a flood. But somehow Republicans forgot that, because it's Reagan's policies. And that's why we have this illegal employer problem rather than an illegal immigrant problem. Thus, in 2008, Mitt Romney named Arpaio the chairman of his Arizona campaign team. And Arpaio gave a glowing review of Romney, saying this in 2008.
Why is America's Sheriff Joe Arpaio, another tough guy when it comes to illegals, throwing his weight behind Mitt Romney for president? Let's ask him. Sheriff, why Mitt?
He's a great guy. He did a great job in Massachusetts, especially against the illegal immigration problem. Great businessman, good guy, family man, intelligent. What else do you need?
All right.
And this year, all the Republican candidates did the requisite ring kissing, asking humbly for Arpaio's endorsement, before he finally endorsed the man who'd put to death the most people, Rick Perry. And check out this Arpaio love fest at the CNN Republican debate in Arizona back in February.
Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who's with us tonight from Maricopa County, he's in the audience. He told me this week here in Mesa, these are his words. It's, quote, political garbage, if you will, to not arrest illegals already in this country. You've talked, Governor, about self-deportation. If businesses do their job asking for the right documents, the people will leave. But what about arresting? Should there be aggressive, seek them out, find them, and arrest them, as Sheriff Arpaio advocates?
You know, I think you see a model here in Arizona. The right course for America is to drop these lawsuits against Arizona and other states that are trying to do the job Barack Obama isn't doing, and I will drop those lawsuits on day one.
I think what we need to do is to give law enforcement the opportunity to do what they're doing here in Arizona, what Sheriff Arpaio was doing here before we ran into some issues with the federal government, which is to allow folks to enforce the law here in this country.
So the question is, now that the world knows that Arpaio's officers stalked and assaulted Latina women, ignored rape allegations against young Latina girls, and forced Latina women to sleep in their own menstrual blood, will anyone in the Republican Party condemn Arpaio and his violent and criminal tactics? Or will they continue to stand by their man and thus continue with Richard Nixon's Southern strategy as the party of hatred and bigotry? Stay tuned. That's it for The Big Picture tonight. Don't forget, democracy begins with you when you show up, when you start, when you participate. Get out there, get active, tag. You're it.